All right, you guys, so here we are with my first SSD builds. I finally decided to go ahead and build an SSD. So I'm very excited to do this. And so the main reason why I haven't done this before is because I thought it was a lot more complicated than what it is. But we're gonna get into building it and show you how easy it is from what I've seen. Really excited to check these out. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into this. I have two Sabrent SSDs here. Now these are two different ones. So on my left in the white box, we have the Sabrent Rocket Q NVMe PCIe M.2 2280 SSD. This one is 1 terabyte. And then in my right hand, I have the Sabrent Rocket NVMe 4.0 SSD. So this one is 2 terabytes. Now the difference between the two is the one in my right hand is going to be a little bit better performance and read and write speeds. Pretty much the specs of these two are going to be a little bit different as far as like read and write speeds and what you can achieve with each one. Also decided to have an enclosure for each one. So here we are. So these two parts of the SSD, as we already discussed, the SSD right here in my left hand, and then in my right hand I have the enclosure, also made by Sabrent, the USB Type-C tool-free enclosure. And this one is particularly for the M.2 PCIe, NVMe, and SATA SSDs. This one is a very affordable enclosure. I think currently it is on Amazon for $29. So I decided to pick this one up so I can use this one with a new device. Just to quickly go over the specs of this one, as I already mentioned, it is USB Type-C, and then it is compatible with Windows and Mac OS, and also it is compatible with Linux OS. That's pretty much going to be the features of this one, and pretty much should be easy to build. So as I mentioned, we don't need any tools for this one, so we're going to build this one first. So really excited to see how these two work well together and just the overall performance we're going to get. So underneath the Rocket NVMe 4.0 SSD, I have the Trebleed enclosure. Now this one is going to be a little bit more expensive. I think I purchased this one at $130 USD, and I also got this one from Amazon as well. But this one utilizes Thunderbolt 3 and USB 4. Thunderbolt has a higher transfer speed. So on the front here, we have the specs, and as I already mentioned, the Thunderbolt 3 USB 4 is available on this one. It has a maximum read speed of 2800 megabytes per second. It has a passive cooling of the memory by metal housing with integrated cooling fans. Next is the system requirements. This one is also compatible with Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. And it also gives you a listing of what's available inside the packaging. But we're gonna go ahead and unbox everything so we can get started. Okay, so inside we have a little piece of paper here that says spread the love online. Pretty cute. And you can extend your warranty to 2 years. You would register your product through the link that's underneath. Next, we have the user guide, SSD installation, which we will check out. And then here we are with our USB-C cable. So this one is going to be USB-C to USB-C. So nice branded cable. This one is pretty short, which I can definitely, get jiggy with. Sometimes having a long cable can be too much. Definitely like that they included this one here. You also have this little, it's not necessarily a screw, but it's a piece that we're obviously gonna need. And here we have the enclosure. This one looks really nice. It looks a lot better than I anticipated to look. You have the Sabrent branding right here on the top. Nice metal enclosure material. I do like that it has a matte feel. It's not shiny at all. As you touch it, you don't leave any fingerprints or residue around it, which I personally like. Now for me, I like the black. It looks stealthy, which is typically what I just generally like, is a stealth look. On this end, we have the USB-C port, and next to the USB-C port we have a LED indicator. So we'll have a LED indicator letting us know when the SSD is in use. And on the other side here we have a push button of how we will open this enclosure up and install our SSD here. Again, this is tool free for this one to build our SSD. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and open up the SSD, see what we got on the inside here. And I also forgot to mention this one. This includes the Acronis software. It comes in an aluminum case for protection, which I do like, and it also has another picture of the SSD here. On the side, we have the same information that we went over on the box. You know, teaching the packaging is definitely there. I do appreciate that. So inside here, we have another installation guide here for particularly the SSD. I know I said SSD like quite a few times already. I believe this is like a little foam covering over the SSD. And here we have the SSD itself. All right, so let's go ahead and build this thing and put it into the enclosure. So to quickly mention this one here, for this particular enclosure, we also have a heat shrink right here that's available inside. And that's really nice for such a budget enclosure. There's only one way to insert or install the SSD, and you want to make sure you do it at an angle. All right, so we are done. It was easy, simple to install, tool-free. Once again, for this one, this piece that we did see that was included in the package, this is going to be for your different form factor SSD. So if you have one that is 2260, 2242, and if you are using a 2230 form factor SSD, definitely keep this in the packaging or nearby where you can use this, because you are going to need it to fasten down those different form factors inside this particular enclosure. All right, so next we have this build right here, and I'm gonna probably speed through this one a little bit more so that I don't take up too much of your time. And we're gonna quickly build this one and see how well and how quickly we do it. So quickly going over the package contents, we have the installation guide here. We have the enclosure itself. Now this one features tools. You will need tools to install the SSD. So we have a mini screwdriver that came with it, and then we have the thermal pad that is included also. Now again, this one was a little bit more expensive, but it also supports higher transfer speeds. So that I don't damage anything, I'm just gonna use what came in the package. That's pretty much it. All right, so we have the aluminum casing for this, and this one is much shinier. Kind of got like a little silver outline as well. You also have some LED indicators right here on the top. We have the Thunderbolt port right here. So I'm gonna pop this one open and get started. Alright you guys, and there you have it. This is another completed SSD build. So you want to make sure you follow the steps carefully. Make sure you utilize those heat shrinks that's included in this one. So if you need heat shrinks then I believe you can purchase those separately. I would probably check them out on Amazon. And also another thing is to keep in mind is to make sure that you don't add so much pressure when you're installing the SSDs. It doesn't take a lot of force to insert them, so just be careful as you're installing them. Each one went in at an angle. It only goes in one way, so you can't mess it up. Don't be intimidated by it. It's pretty much like I say with the keyboards that I've built. Again, this is pretty dope. I really think this is cool to build your own SSD. So now I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the few features that I'm gonna go over in this video as to why I decided to get these two in particular and why I decided to build my own. Side note, I just realized I didn't get my cable for this one, so I'm gonna have to reach out to them and see if they can send that. But you're supposed to get a cable with the Elite enclosure. Definitely make sure you get your cable because that is supposed to be included with this enclosure. Okay, so here are the specs of each one of these SSDs. These are the type of things that you want to consider and you're obviously looking at when you're building your own SSD. You want to make sure you are investing into something that has the right specs that you're looking for and the convenience you're looking for it to be at. So each one has their own read and write speeds. So those read and write speeds are something that I was personally, interested in because one, the faster that I can download and transfer videos and documents and whatever else I need to store, the better, because I'm already spending quite a bit of time editing. Just over time, saving time can be very helpful for me. So the read and write speeds are very important. And another thing that's important to me is the TBW, and that is total bytes written. So basically what total bytes written is the amount of gigabytes or terabytes that you can write to these SSDs in the course of their lifetime. So that is another thing to keep in mind as well when you're looking at SSDs, is to make sure that it has a pretty decent lifespan. The more storage or the higher capacity of the SSD, the longer the SSD will endure and write data for you. So that is pretty big and something I'm just now learning, to be honest. I'm still learning a lot of different things, so that's why I'm not going to include too much, but just the basics, enough for you to keep in mind what's, the basic things to know when you're purchasing these items. So the main thing is the capacity you're looking for, which is the storage amount, and the TBW, which is the total bytes written, which is the lifespan of the SSD. So I hope that makes sense. Again, there are so many technical components to include and talk about, but that's just the overall basis, is what I consider to be the most important and value to the people who are looking to build their own SSD and just want to kind of know why would they be doing this versus purchasing a already built SSD like the Rave Power that I have right here. This is a 1 terabyte version, and then the SanDisk Extreme, which is the 500 gigabyte version right here. So if you want to know why would you spend money building one versus buying one that's already built, here's my main reason right now. You can take these SSDs out. When they have ran their course of usage, you can change them out. You don't have to buy an entire new SSD. And that was my whole thing. I started to realize that it basically has become very costly. If you're into creating content or you just store tons and tons and tons of documents, just, over time, video editing and just all the storage that you tend to need for everything that you do, it adds up. So it gets very, very expensive. As some of you guys may know, the way SSDs are built in laptops today, they're relatively really good, but they're getting just as expensive. So the main thing for me is to make sure I have external drives that can last just as long, if not longer. And the prices of these SSDs are a little bit more affordable than one that I would tend to want at the read and write speed that these are available at. So that's another thing to have in mind when you're looking at these types of SSDs that have these read and write speeds. You're looking at about, if I'm not mistaken, at least $300 or more. Whereas these two builds right here, so this build right here along with the Sabrent Enclosure and the Sabrent Rocky Q 1 terabyte, this right here is $120 before tax. It costs less than my SanDisk Extreme SSD that I purchased for about, I believe it was $140 at the time. So already I've save money here, and I also have more storage available to me. And with this one, with the Sabrent Rocket 2 terabyte, I believe I purchased this one for $240. The Treb Elite Enclosure was $130. So these two together are $370. So all right, you guys, that's pretty much gonna wrap up the video. I must say, this is pretty cool, pretty easy to do. It's pretty dope, I gotta be honest with you. So looking forward to utilizing these and letting you guys know over time how well they perform. I know you don't always tend to achieve the read and write speeds that are available with these type of products, but the goal is to try to get as close to the performance as possible. So definitely gonna, reach out to Treb Elite and get my cable. But other than that, everything came as is and looks pretty good. But you guys already know the drill. Hopefully you consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. I hope you found it very helpful in how quick and easy it is to build, along with the specs of these 4 items and reasons why you would build your own SSD versus purchasing one. Again, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with buying one that's already built. Of course, I've done it. I would consider this if you want to save a little bit of money and you want to just be able to replace what you currently have and not have to rebuy the whole entire thing. So if you guys already built one before, let me know. I do plan to try this out when I'm adding storage to my console as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. With all that being said, I hope to see you guys in my next video. Peace.